Okay guys, so I want to quickly show you what stage this little foal is at with the catching. I want to encourage his front end to go around that way, because if he stands and looks at me a little bit like this, that's already the first step to catching him. And actually, once he does that, there's a pretty good chance I'll be able to catch him, because this is how he has been easy to catch from the beginning. Is he interacts with my hand and then lets me touch his little neck, and he actually follows me a little bit now too, which is really nice. So just that initial fear, and then after that he's being very, very good about the whole catching thing. Okay, let's stop him here, back him up, and then I'll just sensitize him in front of him. So we run through this, but if we don't run through this, then they'll just get more and more spooky and it won't be worth training them. Okay, so now we're gonna go to the exercise he's been waiting for, which is ask him to go in a circle. And you can remember that last time he was stopping the whole time without me asking him to stop, so the same thing's happening today. We're just gonna remind him that, okay, well, he already changed directions, but not when I asked him to. So I'd like to get at least 2 or 3 circles from him without him just automatically deciding to stop whenever he runs into the halter pressure himself. Because a lot of times I'm not pulling on him, he just runs into the pressure. This is good though, and right there I can ask him to stop. Ask him to back up a little bit. Good job. So ideally the little foals will learn one method for backing up, one method for moving their hind end around, one method for moving their front end around. You basically want general control of their body. So if I can back the foal up, lead it towards me, do all those things, then I have good body control. That's all I'm looking for. I don't want to teach them basically every single exercise I could on the ground. I just want to teach them enough that I have good control. This is much better on this side. He didn't stop once without me asking him to. And that time I asked him to, and he did really well. So my general demeanor with him is a little bit calmer than with the other foal. The reason for it though, the other foal wants to hurt me and has a nasty attitude. This foal is just trying to learn and just trying to stay out of trouble. So there's a big difference. And so my attitude with him is, okay, I'll be a little bit more forgiving with you because you're being nice and you're being good. And he genuinely just is trying to be obedient and do the best he can. The other foal is genuinely trying to hurt me and trying to, be a very big pain. And not necessarily because he wants to, just because that's how he has learned to react. And actually his mom is a complete nightmare, so I'm not surprised that he has turned out the way he has. It's kind of in his blood, but at the same time, with training, you can try to help and try to calm them down a fair bit more than if you were just to leave them in the pasture and hope for the best. Now, like the other foal, I'm assuming that he's going to be resistant to the pressure on his butt, and you see how he's kicking out? So this is very interesting, guys, because this is something that both foals have shown a pretty big reaction to, and I knew I was going to work on this at some point. I just didn't know it was going to be this bad. So what I can do is just introduce him to that feeling of something being back behind him and something grabbing him on his butt. Let him figure it out. If I can hold his little face still, that's going to help. But this is very important to get them used to this. Okay, see how he's kicking out and being pretty reactive to it? That would hurt a lot if I was there. So I want to get him used to the feeling of something being on his back legs, on his butt there. Every time he kicks, it's kind of hard for me to keep the pressure on him, so I don't want him to think that kicking is the way out of it. We're just going to keep doing it till he realizes that kicking is not a good idea. Try to keep the pressure on him as best I can till he relaxes and stops. So as long as I can stay up by his front end, it's safe for me to do this and get him used to it. This is an exercise that I typically do a little bit later on, but this is a good time to do it for both of them. They're both needing to get used to things being on their butt and the pressure coming from behind them. Okay, this is a key thing that they get used to. Okay, so the next level is going to be around his belly. And I would not normally do this with a little rope like this, but I don't actually have I didn't put the box in my truck that has all the equipment, so this is going to be the way I'll have to do it today. But around their flank is another place that they're very sensitive, okay? So I'm just going to lift up, keep their face next to you. That's how you're not going to get kicked, okay? By keeping their face next to you, you're going to avoid getting a foot in the face, okay? And as soon as he calms down, I'll take it away, pet him, tell him, that's all right, good job for calming down. So these are intense little exercises, but these are important because if you don't teach your little foals not to be crazy, they will stay crazy. So keeping his face close to me as much as I can is going to help me stay safe. And you'll notice every time he does it a lot less. The reason for that is that he's realizing, oh, I don't have to go crazy when something touches me on my belly. Okay, now the key to it is, guys, to keep the foal's head close to you. I've said it multiple times, but I want to be clear. If you let go of the horse's face, the foal's face, and he goes forward, he will double barrel kick you right in the chest. So you've got to be careful. You've got to make sure you got a hold of his face before you bring it back here. And the other thing is, you're not putting the rope in the middle of his belly. You're putting it right at the back on his flank. And the reason we're doing that is because that's the most sensitive spot. That's the spot with the most reaction and resistance. And then you can let the rope slowly go forward, get him good all over. But this is an exercise that I would highly recommend you do, but not on day one. If I was to do this on day one, guess what? I wouldn't have control of him with the halter. I wouldn't have any respect from him. I wouldn't have any kind of knowledge of how he's going to react to it. Because we're doing it at this stage on day 7 or so, I have good halter control. I have a lot of respect from him, which means he's not running me over. He's not going to bite me right in the ribs or something. Also, I have a pretty good idea of how he reacts to things, and I know he's not completely crazy. Because if I was to come out here and try this on day 1, there would be no chance. I would be dealing with so many different problems. At this point, I'm just dealing with his reaction to the rope on his belly. And right now, he's doing very well about it. He's not responding to it negatively anymore. So believe it or not, we've actually just solved a future bucking problem by teaching him not to react to something around his belly. So ideally, guys, I would use a rope that quick releases right on his belly. And then I could keep the pressure much more consistently. But you also saw how it's possible to do it just with a big long rope, which might be something that you have at home. Although I wouldn't highly recommend doing that. I would definitely get a long line with a metal ring in it that you can stay away from the foal and not have to get yourself in harm's way, because you do have to maintain pressure until they stop kicking out. Okay, so that was a pretty interesting little session for him. He definitely learned something. And What I can do now is just continue to work on touching his whole body and reminding him that it's all right for me to touch his legs and things like that. But I'm not going to get myself in harm's way with him, because he also reacted similar to the other one. And we're going to work with him day by day on it, on being able to be comfortable with our bodies touching him and bumping up against him and things like that. So that's going to be something we'll work on as the days go on. But I'm not just going to stand behind him, especially since I know that he does kick out pretty good. But getting him used to something being back here is a pretty important part of his training. Good boy. So I'm not expecting the foals to be perfect at it. I'm not expecting them to, be completely okay with someone running up and grabbing their back leg. I mean, that's not going to be an achievable goal. What is going to be an achievable goal is that they at least respect me enough to walk behind them, to bump into them. And that's going to be a very helpful thing as time goes on. And what we can actually do is use the fence to protect ourselves as we teach him this. So there's a lot to be said about just spending time with the foal, standing next to them. It does immeasurable good to just stand out here and pet on the foal. The thing is, the difference is, you'll notice he's not crowding me. The other foal really crowds me and comes towards me with his face and steps on my feet and really just pushes into me. This little foal is very respectful of me, because from day one, when no one had touched him, he was learning to respect humans and not to be pushy and disrespectful. So there's a very different attitude between the two foals, which is why every exercise I do with them, there's a different reaction pretty much. Okay, so we're just going to work on leading him next to us. Now, yesterday we worked on this, and I want him to get a little bit closer to me. Let's see here. A little bit quicker would be nice, so he can stay up closer to me. There we go, that's nice. Good boy. Now I'm going to fake smack him and pet him on the neck. So I like to do like this. Go towards their face, pet him on the neck. Go towards their face, pet him on the neck. Good boy. Whoa, stop him. Ask him to go back. Just a few steps here. And the idea is that eventually they become like a shadow and they follow you wherever you go. He's doing super well with this, being very respectful about the halter, being respectful about my personal space. He's not crowding me. He's coming at the perfect timing to be kind of middle of his neck to me. Whoa, good boy. So overall, this little foal did pretty well today. He learned a lot of new things and got over some fears, and also was starting to learn not to kick out as much, so that's really, really good. Thank you guys for watching today. We'll see you tomorrow.